Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining Point of View with Shirley, Cleester, Eula, and Merethah. Thank you so much. And Shirley,
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marita.
you're
Such
welcome.
a wonderful intro, bringing us in. Okay, that's my baby sister, everybody. Okay, now, dear God, as we sit before you to speak, we pray to you that our souls you will keep. And if we should die before we finish, we pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. And so
Amen.
our topics today, Marita, what are our topics?
What your topic is, do you ever feel like you're going nowhere? And mine is how to embrace change in your life.
Wow.
Right.
We're working together.
Yes.
It's in
So,
your hands, Marita.
huh?
It's in your hands. Hello, everybody.
Hello. All right. So mine comes from intelligentchange.com, and it's by Intelligent Change, and it's how to embrace change in your life. So, change is the only constant in life. And this is by Heraclitus. Heraclitus. Sorry about that, y'all. Um, Everything around us is constantly changing, whether we perceive it or not. Society changes, technology evolves further every day. The world is always an influx. But what's important is that we ourselves undergo change too. But despite this knowledge, one of the most difficult things human beings learn during their life is how to embrace change. Many people find change terrifying, and that's normal. Change reminds us that we're getting older every day, and there's something so melancholic and scary in this inevitable passage of time. Change and novelty can be perceived as a way too challenging and risky and uncertain. As Tim Ferriss once said, people would rather be unhappy than uncertain. And there's a scientific backup for that. One recently conducted neuroscience research, excuse me, excuse me for that, discovered that our brains register uncertainty the same way it registered errors. We simply crave to resolve it so we could feel confident, comfortable again. Embracing change means accepting that you can't keep everything under control. As frightening as that thought is, it's also very liberating. In fact, embracing change is key to your growth as an individual and highly affects your overall success and happiness. Let's dive into the topics further and find out how to embrace change in your life. All right? Let's start by giving you a short list of tips to guide you and toward accepting change in your life. Then we'll share with you some amazing examples of how to embrace change, positively affected people in their lives, so that you're even more motivated to start welcoming change in your life today. Okay? Number one, adopt a growth mindset. Facing change can become so much easier when you think in terms of growth and learning instead of seeing your identity as rigid, unchangeable, and set traits and skills. Sometimes, we always say, I'm setting my ways, I'm setting my ways. But ways are changing. So we have to get unset in order to accept the changes that are coming. All right. The concept of growth mindset was first described by Dr. Carol Dweck, along with its opposite, the fixed mindset. People with fixed mindset believe their quality, skills, intelligence, personality traits, and abilities are carved in stone, therefore unchangeable. That's why we don't embrace change. That's why they don't embrace change. Avoid risk, learning new things, and finding change a major frustration in their lives. However, these people also don't make progress in their lives as they struggle so hard to maintain their status quo. On the other hand, adopting growth mindset can help you change the way you see life. People with a growth mindset view challenges as opportunities, mistakes as valuable lessons, and their personalities and characters as even changing and evolving rather than static. Adopting a growth mindset can help you become a person who is ready to embrace change life challenges. When you look at life as from a perspective of growth, you'll see that changes are major opportunities and not obstacles. Number two, create a list of changes. Are you aware that you're growing through constant change? Do you feel it happening? We assume not. Here's one amazing method that you could help you learn how to embrace change in your life. Create a list of all the things that's changing since your childhood. In order to come to terms with change and beat anxiety it's causing, try going all the way back to your childhood and remember all the changes that you've been through since then. The point of the list is to show that changes were present in your life before you became aware of them. Okay? Here's a few examples: separating from your parents to go to nursery, making your first friend, starting school, getting a new brother or sister, moving into a neighborhood and changing schools, getting your first pet, and so on. These are some of the common examples. But when you start writing on your own list, making it personal, remember all the important events that change the way you live your life. Try to incorporate the goals you use to strive forward, the actions you took to achieve them, the successes and failures you had along the way. All the important insights you had and completely changed the way you see the world. When you reach this day and you start rereading your list, you'll realize one thing: you've been changing all along. I've looked back at things that were a couple of years ago and I thought, it a step up. You know, everything's bit your camera's freezing out, Shirley. You see it? Okay. All right. Everything's, been a step up, from my home circumstance to my vehicle to this to that. Everything's been a step up. All right. So, another thing, set clear goals. If you're sure, if you're sure where you're going, change should be normal and desirable part of your journey, right? If you learn how to set smart, achievable goals that are relevant to your life, embracing change will become a normal part of achieving those goals. Setting a direction toward achieving those goals means defining actionable, steps, tasks, necessary resources, and time boundaries. When you're striving towards a specific goal, change means getting closer with every completed task, learning a new lesson, and every mistake you make. All right? Practice gratitude. Fear of change is often related to a negative outlook on life. And when the world as a whole, the negative outlook can be a byproduct of the way you were raised. For example, the negative outlook on life we may have adopted from our parents who constantly perceive life as burdensome, or it could be of us being overwhelmed with life's problems in particular moment. It's not nurture, but nature as well. We're naturally wired to perceive and experience negative outcomes more intensely than positive ones. So, we always prepare for the worst. We always prepare for the worst. Well, you know what? Now it's time for us to prepare for the best. Set ourselves up for the best of what's to come. All right? Excuse me. Now, combined with that everyday stress, and voila, you're stuck in the rigid comfort zone, trying to keep things just the way they are, or better yet, fearing and avoiding change. But don't worry, there are simple and elegant way of this negativity bias: gratitude. Expressing gratitude is simple yet often neglected behavior that drives our mind toward a greater positivity. It has deep roots in our evolutionary history and has been recorded among animals as well. The simplest method of practicing gratitude is by keeping a gratitude journal. A curative gratitude journal is like a 5 minute journal that is designed to gear your mind toward greater positivity every day, every single day. Add 5 minutes into your morning routine to answer the morning prompts, to repeat and before going to bed by positively reflecting on the day behind you. You know, write down something positive that happened to you today. Just take 5 minutes to think about something that's happened positive to you today. First of all, you were blessed to be woken up. Second of all, you're blessed to have the home that you live in. A lot of people don't have homes. Third of all, you're blessed to have a job. A lot of people don't have jobs. Fourth, you're blessed to have a vehicle. A lot of people don't have vehicles. Five, you're blessed to have a family. A lot of people don't have family. You're not alone. Things like that. The little things that we take for granted every day, a lot of people don't have. So we have to be grateful that we're allowed to have these things. What we see as little things, we sometimes take for granted. We need to see them as gratitude, being grateful for them. All right. If you have children, you can appreciate gratitude with them as well, as we have designed the 5 minute journal for kids. This is the journals that they're saying that they have. This can help a parent change in their kids are going through in a more positive way. And so they tell you how to get the journal. And number 5, this is step number 5 and the changing. Be confident and listen to yourself. Change can sometimes be scary because it can make us think that we're losing our true selves. And it gets even worse when we start comparing ourselves to others. It's something we can't help. It's in our DNA. We look at other people and we try to figure out whether we're doing okay or not based on how they're doing. You can't base yourself, can't keep up with the Joneses. You have to keep up with with the me's. I've never been one to keep up with the Joneses because my last name is Pope. I keep up with the Pope. If you got that, God bless you to have it. Evidently, that's not for me, because what God has for me is for me and me only. And what he has for you is for you and you only. Therefore, I'm going to be grateful for what he has for you. I'm going to be grateful for what he's given me because it's for me. So those of you out there who are trying to keep up with the Joneses, leave the Joneses alone, because evidently the Joneses can't afford that. Maybe your pocket may not be as deep as the Joneses. Let the Joneses alone. Let the Joneses have that. Be happy for the Joneses. Also be happy for you. Okay? Embracing change comes a lot easier if you stop comparing yourself to others instead focusing and instead focus on your goals. All the novelties that you need to go through, you should only be measured relation to yourself. Okay? Inspiring examples of people who embrace change. They give examples of people who, a 30-year-old millionaire, his name is Brian Paez Braga. In his early teenage years, he experienced a loss of an important figure. His father left the country to work at a hotel in his native Portugal. This left a huge void in his soul, and he was filled with insecurities. However, this change motivated Brian to take care of himself and work and embrace change. He began earning his own money and soon ended up in entrepreneurial waters. He succeeded in selling his company for $265 million at the age of 30. Okay, so like I said, looking toward other people, yes, you can be encouraged by people, but don't ever wish for what someone it's okay, but don't try to keep up with them, because what they have is for them, and what you have is for you. I'm always pleased to see other people do well. My friends will often tell you, if you ask them, they'll tell you, what have I always wanted for my friends? For them to be happy. That is a genuine thing that I want for them. And they'll tell you, if you ask them, what does Merethah always say she wanted for you? For me to be happy. That's what I want. For them to be happy. Because life can throw us some curveballs, okay? Life can hit us and it won't be fun. But you know what? we have that great I am who would take over and fight that battle for you if you let him. If you don't try to fix it yourself, because once we try to fix it, we mess it up. Who's the what's the first thing we do? Oh, Lord, help us. Well, you know what? If we just said, Lord, help us in it, we wouldn't have to go through all that. You know, we wouldn't have to go through all that. Trying to fix it ourselves. Fix it. Lord, fix it. He would have fixed it in the beginning. He had it fixed. We messed it up. But we have to embrace change. We cannot sit in stagnant water. Stagnant water doesn't do anything but attract bugs. It doesn't do anything but attract bugs, attract mosquitoes, attract flies, attract, all that other stuff that's coming in there. You know, so we have to be able, change is constant. Change is constant. Water keeps flowing, you know, that river keeps running, and that's to keep everything fresh. You know, when you go up to a stream, in the woods, and that water's flowing, it's getting all those impurities out of it. It's changing. It's making it all fresh. It keeps going, and you can't stop it. It'll just go around you. You put your hand in that water and try to block it, it's going to make a way around you because it's constant. It keeps going, just like life. Life keeps going. Life changes. Life is constant. So we have to be constant with it. Technology changing. Technology is going, 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 going. It's constant. So we have to be there to embrace that change, learn it, so that we can keep up with it, so that we won't be left behind. I
Right.
can't do this. I don't have an email. Why don't you have an email address? You need to, if you don't have one, get one. If you don't know how to do, you work your phone. Let me tell you something. These little 4 and 5-year-old children know how to work phones better than some of these grown-ups. If you don't know how to do something, ask someone. Someone will help you. There's always someone out there to help you, willing to help you. So all you gotta do is be vigilant. Ask, but also embrace change. Change is constant. Change is good for the better part of it. You know, but don't just fall for anything, but be careful and embrace change. All right, that's it. That's what I have.
Very good. You hear me?
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I had to change to my phone.
I figured that's what you were doing.
Something happened with this camera. But I am going on in the next. Enjoyed that. Now you said there were 5 points that
Yes,
you brought out. Okay, would
yes,
you just go through the points? Just
yes, I sure will.
okay,
All
one
right.
by one. I mean, you know what I'm saying. Just name them,
I sure
please.
will. All right. The first point was adopt a growth mindset. And number two, create a list of changes that you've been through. That's what it says, create a list of changes.
Hmm.
Number four, set clear goals. I mean, number three, I'm sorry. Number three was
Okay.
set clear goals. And number four was practice gratitude. And number
Okay.
five was be confident and listen to yourself.
Okay.
So those were
That's
the,
great.
yeah, those were the,
That's great. Be competent and listen to yourself.
be
Number
confident
4 is
in yourself. Number
number
four was practice gratitude.
right. Okay. Number 3.
Number three, I passed number three. Set clear goals.
Number 2.
Number two, create a list of changes that you've already
All
been
right. Ah, that's wonderful.
through.
There's, your background is pretty. I like it. I like
Oh,
it. I
thank
like
you.
it.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened to my camera, but that's okay.
That's all right. Look, you'll
That's
get it.
okay.
You'll get it. Look,
Yeah,
no one
because
else will fix it.
yes, yes, yes. But if I don't, I still have a warranty. So
Huh. Yes, you do.
that's what warranties are for, huh?
Honey, I told you when I learned from my last job, don't ever buy anything without a warranty.
Right, right.
because it
Okay.
benefits you.
Right on with the right on. So I'm talking. Do you ever feel like what is mine that
You ever feel you're going nowhere?
going nowhere? Have you ever felt like you're going nowhere?
Yes.
I tell you, sometimes you just feel like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge this so because I have the camera sitting in front of it. Yes, this is Tiny Buddha. Tiny Buddha. So have you ever felt
Hello,
like you're
everyone.
not hi everybody. Let me get over here and get my topic. Have you ever felt like now I know I have it, so what is this right here? Know what this is. Let me go ahead and do some adjusting on here. I expect anything to happen today. Oh
That's
yes.
all right. Embrace
Oh, I'm
change.
fine and dandy. I'm used to
Oh,
this.
I know it. That's
You
good.
know we are,
Look how
don't
you
you?
adapt. Look how you adapt.
Yeah. Oh, and what does it say? Ain't no biggie, ain't nothing but a thing.
Ain't nothing but hey, chicken
Praise the
wine.
Lord. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm in Tiny Buddha today. And when you feel like you're going nowhere and life has no, I think this is the one. Yeah. Life has no point. This is by Carrie L. Burns. So, have you ever felt like I probably some people might not want to admit it because I'm one of those that would not like to admit it. But this morning I was thinking and I prayed. I said, God, it just seems like I'm just, I say spinning my think just going around and around. And of course, I'm thankful for my life and health and strength because there are many people who would probably want to be, if they could be, have their health, strength, and everything like we do today. So I'm not complaining, but then I have to be
Mhm.
honest with myself. Today, I said, Lord, I just feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. And okay, and then I prayed and prayed. So anyway, and I believe because He's taking care of me, He's taking care
Mhm.
of you, He's taking care of hundreds of millions and gajillion people. He's done that, and I'm so grateful, and I have no complaints about life itself. And so this is what Wayne Dyer said. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So, how many days do you wake up feeling like you're a hamster on a wheel?
Mm.
You brush your teeth,
Yeah.
take a shower, drink your coffee, go to work, come home, eat dinner, watch television, go to bed, and rinse and repeat. We've been doing this. I've got to count it up. Sometimes I count up the minutes and the hours
Mhm.
in my life. Been doing this so many hours, so many minutes, so many seconds. But thank God we're doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? Something like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Uh, but thankful, thankful, right on.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you wonder how you can keep going and keep everything together when it feels like you're doing nothing, going nowhere, and living some life you weren't meant for? Do you ever wonder what to do on those days when you feel like you can't go on? And I don't think I've ever felt like I can't go on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wanted to know when is this day going to be over? Sometimes you feel just depends on what's happening in your life at that time.
Mhm.
Or excuse me, or most of the time it's in the darkest hours just before dawn. It's the nighttime. It's sometimes when you're going through something, it seems like it just takes a
A
long
long time.
time for day to break. And
Yep.
that's why they have this saying, darkest hour
It's
dawn.
always
And
darkest
that
before the dawn.
uh, and we can look at life like that. When it's dark and it gets dreary, whether it's daytime or nighttime in our lives, then
Yeah.
we know the sun is going to shine. after a while. All right.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
yeah. So, do you ever, it seems that no matter how hard you try, please excuse me, y'all, you end up in the same spot, in the same position, having to start all over again, and your inability to change your messed up emotional patterns start taking an excruciating toll. You wonder and think and read and try to break free from the subconscious battles within your mind, but the negative stronghold or stranglehold has a strong grip and does not want to release you so easily. And the cares of life, if we are not careful, they will strangle us to death. Just think
Mm-hmm.
about the suicides and
Yep.
then the offenses and the people killing people because they're despondent. They
Yep.
feel
Yep.
like they have no hope. Then
Yep.
they go and kill up somebody else,
Yep.
or then they have no hope. Then they'll kill themselves.
Yep.
And so there is proof. There is proof that the cares of life will put a stranglehold on you and they will strangle you to death if you let it. If you let it. But one thing about it, and I say often, we are resilient. God made us, we are strong.
Mm-hmm.
That's physically and emotionally. We are resilient. Human beings are strong and
Mm-hmm.
resilient. So maybe the pain has become intolerable. And instead of going away, it has continued to eat away at your peace of mind bit by bit. But then another day dawns and you're still here and you live to start again. Oh, yes. So, this is the writer said, I have been in a cycle of rinse and repeat for more years than I care to remember. And I know there's somebody feeling like that just right now. But the thing is, don't give up.
Nope. Nope.
Don't
Nope.
give up. And so she said, I have changed jobs at least 10 times, apartments and locations 23 times, and boyfriends 6 times. I've had the same happy hour and the same weekends and the same soul searching periods over and over again. I have tried to change, there it is, Sarah,
Yep.
all these external things because I figured changing the outside would change the inside. But like they always say, wherever you go, there you are.
There you are. Can't get away from you.
Despite traveling the world, changing jobs, moving, and having relationships, I live my life in a little bubble because I feel safe there. And staying safe means being resistant to any real transformation. It doesn't matter that I've changed my circumstances, the end result is always the same. I feel bored and empty and lost and alone. That's what she said. And what does they say? If you do the same thing over
Over
and
and over
over,
again,
you
expecting a
get the
different
same
result
results.
is
hmm
the definition of insanity.
You get the same results. So you feel bored and empty and lost and alone because you never really do anything different. And so, excuse me, I'm about to, excuse me. You never do anything different, whether you stay stuck because you're an introvert or you have social anxiety or you're depressed or you're lazy, doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, change nothing and nothing will change. Did you say that?
I know I should have been in there, but it wasn't in there.
She said, look, she said, I get it. She said, I am a tried and true introvert. This is what she said. We have these different personality types and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And when I found out my personality type, and this is for real,
Mm-hmm.
then I said, so that's why I'm like I am. And so now that I'm like, I know what who I am and why
Mm-hmm.
I am like this, I'm not going to try to change it. I'm going to accept it. And
Mm-hmm.
I did because now I know who I am. So where I
Mm-hmm.
go, there I always will be.
Mm-hmm. There you
So,
are. When I
so
turn
look,
around, I'll see me. Hey,
she said, I am a tried and true introvert. So developing relationships is exhausting. People think I'm extroverted because I can talk quite a bit one on one, but put me in a group and I'll clam up. I become super anxious at parties or in large groups of people, preferring one on one, in depth interactions. Being an introvert makes life a little more challenging in a world that embraces and rewards extroversion. Some people just all out all the time.
mm-hmm.
And then sometimes people cannot tell when a person is introverted because, like this lady said, you cope while you're out.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get in, you don't want to be.
Uh-huh.
So
Yep.
maybe there are days when you feel like you're going nowhere and you don't fit in and life has no point. But you can change it, even if just a little. There are some little things you can do to change your patterns and your life. And I know you talked about some stuff, Theta. That's amazing how we end up, but we always do. That's why I'm thankful to for point of view because the what I'm striving to do when I started point of view many years ago is to encourage people
Mm-hmm.
and to put helpful information out
Out there.
there
Yep.
and let us know about ourselves, know about the
Mm-hmm.
happenings, know how to deal with life the
Yep.
best that we can and as God allows. So how do you keep trying? First, you get up every day and say, today is a day for change. And you do your best and face the world whether you want to or not. Every day you fight for yourself because if you don't, no one else will. And that's the
Nope.
truth. If
Nope.
you don't fight for yourself,
Nope.
no one else will. And that's like we talk about loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to love yourself first
Yep.
before you try to spread
Love.
love
That's right.
beyond you.
Yep.
Yes. So every day you fight for yourself, okay? Because if you don't, no one else will. I
Mm-mm.
know it's hard, and I know some days you want to stay in bed with the covers over your head, but don't do it. Get up, go for a walk,
Yep.
do something, anything. And so that's what we're trying to instill in people. People are so depressed. People are just in, they're just, minds are just sometimes somber. They don't know what to
Mm-hmm.
think. All kinds of thoughts are going to get up and go for a walk. Go for, if you can, or
Mm-hmm.
else walk around the house, whatever you can do. Television to me, it,
Yep.
it
Velma said you
relaxes.
can't give what you don't have.
Say it again.
Velma said you can't give what you don't have.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's right.
Yep.
So thank you, Velma. That was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So some days she said, I forced myself to get in the car and drive to the beach. She said, okay, it's only 4 miles because I'm so comfortable in my apartment. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I get there, I'm happy I did. I roll out my towels and read a book while listening to the waves crash, or I walk along the water's edge, watching the sand between my toes and squishing those weird little seaweed blobs. We know about walking on the beach and she says, second, she said, you start becoming aware of the negative thought patterns in your mind and how they affect you when you get caught up in them. The truth is, you are reaching to events in your life, you are reacting, excuse me, to events in your life in a way that is detrimental rather than helpful. Negativity breeds more negativity and keeps you stuck on that hamster wheel. Just like
Mm-hmm.
those little hamsters just going around and
Round and
around and
around.
around. Mm-hmm. Round and round. Merry go round and round. I like that song. Keith Sweat. Excuse me. I'm not saying it's easy. I get it. Some days when I'm trying super hard to think positively, my mind says, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to feel or think this way anyway.
Anyway.
So deal with it. And our minds, like even like thoughts that come into our mind, and
Huh.
they just pop into our
Just pop in
minds.
there.
And sometimes I said, Lord, forgive me for thinking that, but I have no control over what pops into my
Mm-hmm.
mind. We don't.
Subconscious is a dangerous fellow sometimes.
It is. And so it's why she said that mindset, I'm going to feel or think
Mm-hmm.
this way anyway, so deal with it. So she
Mm-hmm.
said, someday, she said, I simply need to embrace how I feel instead of forcing myself to be positive. And that's a true thing, too. I just watched this movie on, was it Prime or Hulu? One of them. I think it's Prime. It's about this young man. Uh, he, his dad shot him.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was abusive to his mother. He was an alcoholic. And so he was abusing the boy's mother. And the guy and he had the gun to the mother's head. And he came out of his room and he said, Dad, because the mother said, see, this is why we tell people, don't tell the person that you're with. If they're abusive to you and you're not happy, don't tell them, I'm going to leave you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired of this. I'm
Uh-huh.
going to leave. Because that's what she said to her husband.
Oh no.
And he pulled his gun out. He was a policeman. He pulled that gun out and put it to her face and her head. And their son came out of the room. He said, Dad, we're not going anywhere. Dad, we're not going anywhere. Dad, put the gun down, put the gun down. And so then the mother moved the man's hand and he shot the boy, the young man. And he was in a coma for like a year and a half. But this is where I'm getting. So at the end, he when he got out of the hospital, I mean, they just turned him loose, but that's a movie. They had to make time. So anyway, he ended, excuse me, he ended up homeless, and then he got a job working at this store, and it was a gym attached to people on the same thing. But then, he was still sleeping out on the benches and things, and then finally he and this girl, started talking and they got to be friends, just friends. And so she invited him over to eat. And so then he started talking about it. And this is where I'm going. He said, I just want to break down what he was saying emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he just felt like, you know how sometimes you feel like you want to cry and you
Mm-hmm.
just want to just scream and holler. He said, I just want to. He said, my mother, he said, I can hear my mother telling me to be strong because she died. I don't know how she died before he
Mm-hmm.
got to the hospital. He said, I can hear my mother. And he said, I miss my mother. He said, I miss my mother. And he just started boo-hooing.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to take those feelings and you have to embrace those feelings. And I tell people, if you feel like you need to scream or holler, go
Mm-hmm.
somewhere where you can scream. If you have to put a
Mm-hmm.
pillow in front of your face, scream and get whatever that is
In
out
you out. Yep.
out
I,
of you.
I I tell people that too. I said, you know what? God gives us these emotions to feel, not to keep them in us. You
And
know?
so, and then he
Gotta
gives
keep
us an outlet. He said, tears are precious. Said God bottles those tears up. It's a scripture there about how
Mm-hmm.
precious tears
Mm-hmm.
are to God. But he gave us that avenue for relief so
Mm-hmm.
we can cry, get that
Mm-hmm.
strain off of our brain
Mm-hmm.
and off of our bodies and everything. And
Laugh.
then he gave
Yep.
us the release where we can scream. Even people who cannot talk,
Yes.
they can scream.
Yes.
Definitely can do that.
Yep.
So God made it some. She just needs to embrace how she feels instead of forcing herself to be positive. And sometimes we do. We have to, but not like we have no hope.
Yeah.
Okay. She said, but I know I need to eventually shift my mindset, always be stuck. So I keep trying. If you keep trying, she said, if you can't change the way you see the world, then the world you see will never change. That's a good one, isn't it?
That is a good
If you can't change the way you see the world, then the
one.
world you see will never change. And so she said, recently I found myself on the verge of a breakup, a move, here she goes again, a deploying boyfriend, and no job. She said, my head went into a tailspin, worrying about what I would do or where I would go and why this was happening. But with all the work I've been doing on myself, I decided to see everything in a new light. You have to make yourself be
Mm-hmm.
positive sometimes. So maybe this was an opportunity for positive change instead of a devastating loss. She said, I stopped worrying and started believing I would be okay. I was only able to do this because I have been practicing changing my perspective. See, she's been practicing. So this
Mm-hmm.
time she was able to use what she had practiced.
Yeah.
So think of your mind as a muscle. If you strengthen it and work it out, it becomes stronger. If you let it sit there and wallow in self pity, it never grows. And you've seen some people, it seems like every time you see them, they're saying the same old negative
Uh,
stuff and all this. So she said, I stopped focusing on the worst case scenario.
mhm.
And do you know what happened? We didn't break up. He
Huh.
signed for an apartment for us, and
Hmm.
I got a job within a week of his departure.
Hmm.
She was just worrying about it. And then it turned out to be a positive thing. And she let her mind relax. And then all this good stuff happened. And so she said, I know
Mhm.
things won't always work out how I want them to just because I think positively. But I now believe I will be okay no matter what happens. And that's making a huge difference. The same can be true for you. So this is what she said. She said, you may face unexpected challenges. She said, we all do. Changing your
Mhm.
mindset won't guarantee that everything will be okay. And that's the truth. But it will
Yeah.
give you the insight and strength to believe that you will be okay and that you can handle what life dishes up. And it will also help you create a life that feels more fulfilling and less empty. Like just a while ago, because I need to go to the store, but I like to just order and they bring it. But it's just simple things that I needed, and the store is just right up the street. And so I forced myself to get in there where they say take a shower, get dressed, do all of this. And I went on to the store and I feel better that I went to the please excuse me, y'all. Everybody, please excuse me, but I am feeling better. Okay, Erica likes to do what?
Order.
Yes, and so I'm used to them bringing bringing it to me. But it's just simple that I needed, and I said I'm going to go on up there. And now that I did it, I am so glad that I got out and went up there. Okay, so we can get stuck in our little ways, but it feels so good that we don't have to go out now if we don't want to. So the
Yeah.
first step in any change is recognition. Oh, I don't think I finished this. Changing the minds, we all do. Changing your mindset won't guarantee. I read that everything will be okay, but it will give you the insight and strength to believe that you will be okay and that you can handle what life dishes up. And it will also help you create a life that feels more fulfilling and less empty. What time is it, Better?
Um. Let me look and see. 146.
Oh, it's right in front of me here on this phone. Okay, thank you. The first
Yes.
step in any change is recognition. Did I say that? You
Yes.
can't change what you don't acknowledge. And I think you might have said that too. You have to own up to it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to change. This is not the way it should be, so I need to change. But we have to acknowledge it. And that's what they do in the, what is it, 12-step program?
Mm-hmm.
First, you have to admit that you have a problem. Then you
Mm-hmm.
can start working
Then you
on
can
that
start
problem.
working.
Uh-huh. So you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So start to notice that you have a negative pattern of thinking that keeps you stuck. I'm guessing you will probably be amazed at how much and how often your mind wanders toward the negative. And we see just negatives. If I was just thinking, I went out, drove out to the place, I don't know whether you know, but Eula and Clee know about this guy that, he calls himself, I guess, bullying me about my own place, parking in my driveway. And so I asked him not to park there anymore. I have video where he was meddling, he called himself meddling and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out there the other day and somebody's backed up in my driveway.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about it, these negative thoughts be coming to my mind. I said, Lord, why am I thinking about that? Because I don't be thinking about, I think about, just these thoughts come to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to do, when people meddle you and all that kind of stuff, they're not
You get
thoughts
tired
that
of it.
that I want to be thinking.
Mm-hmm.
They're not thoughts that I want to be thinking. And I said, Lord, why am I thinking like this? I don't want to think like that. Forgive me, please, for thinking like that. I should not be thinking like that. You know, so from there you can start practicing mindfulness. So the negativities, negative thoughts be in my and they're, I don't know whether you call them negative, but they're thoughts. They're not uh, peaceful because I've tried. I asked him nicely, and he was still pitiful. So what I'm going to have to do now is bring the police into it
Mm-hmm.
and have them to meet me out there. If I go back out there again, I'm just going to have to call the police again and
Mm-hmm.
ask them to go there to that house and ask them to move their car out of my driveway
Mm-hmm.
because they're doing it deliberately. And
Mm-hmm.
see, people don't understand that I have people too.
Yeah.
They don't know that, but then I don't want my family getting involved with,
Well.
in a bunch of mess. And so I'm trying to, and then if I call the police, but see, all this stuff is going through my mind.
Yes.
They're still gonna take that negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm still trying to. I'm depending on God to fix this thing because it bothers me, and I don't like to go out there because I feel like it's going to try to start some trouble, and I don't want to. I'm not going to let anybody hurt me. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's these kind of thoughts that come into my mind. I'm really being candid today about this, but that kind of stuff, and that's why I said, Lord, please help me to stop thinking these thoughts because these are not good thoughts that I'm thinking. Okay, so now practicing minds, and I'm coming back now. From there, she said, start practicing mindfulness, which basically means you are aware of what you're thinking, but you don't get caught up in your thoughts. And see,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. I don't want to get caught up in my thoughts.
Uh-huh.
So see if you can separate the negative thoughts from your being. Anyone who has studied meditation will tell you that you can use a technique to distance yourself from your thoughts. Try to place them in a balloon and watch them fly away. You're not your thoughts and feelings. And see, that's what I don't want to be because
Yeah.
I want to be saved. I want
Yeah.
to serve God. I want to be an example of goodness, kindness, and holiness. And I don't like trouble.
No.
So you experience thoughts and feelings. Okay, you experience thoughts and feelings, and we really do, but they don't need to own you. And so that's my thing. I don't want these things to just stay
Mm-hmm.
around and own me. So I know this isn't easy, but it is doable. So she said, personally, she said, my mind always sees deficit instead of abundance. And I think sometimes we all see that. We see the negative before we see the positive,
Positive. Yep.
because that's the way the cares of life and
Hmm.
situations of life, seem like they sometimes overshadow you
Yep.
with the negativity.
Yep.
Okay, so whether this came from years of, and this is her part of her story. She said her mind always sees deficit instead of abundance. And she said whether this came from years of sexual abuse or family upbringing or genetic coding, I'm not sure. And at this point, I don't really care why. She said, what matters is that I want to change it because it has become exhausting to always be so unsatisfied. And it's
Yep.
exhausting. It exhausts me when I go out to my place and I know people are deliberately, this is my
Trying to.
land.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to start
Yeah.
trouble, you know, over
Yeah.
my property.
Yeah.
So how do you effect all this change? Talk about Tony Robbins. So, please excuse me, y'all. Tony Robbins says that change can happen in an instant, but I
Hmm.
think that statement needs a little tweaking. I think the ability to change can happen in an instant. When you decide you want more, or you deserve better, or you become sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you have now opened the door to change. One way to start creating change is to change the words you use to describe how you're feeling. Our language affects our emotions, and our emotions influence our choices. Tony Robbins, he offers a 10-day challenge, so people can look up Tony Robbins. And so I'm going to go here. Here's some things that she suggests. And she said, next, try to cultivate more happiness in your life a little bit at a time. She said,
Hmm.
research has shown that happiness is, in fact, a choice. And although you may have a certain set point of happiness, you do have the ability to make yourself happier by doing things like, and we have the ability to do different things if we get up and do them no matter how we feel. Sometimes we just don't, we feel like if I do this, it's not going to make any difference or whatever. But get up and do something positive anyway. So she suggests that you start meditating. Then she says begin a gratitude journal. Didn't you talk about that better?
Hmm. Yep.
Gratitude. Uh
Yep.
huh. Yep. She said volunteer or find a way to help someone. Get out there and exercise. Figure out what you're good at and start doing it. Create a social support network. Write or scrapbook or create something. And then a thing that she said in here is about the adult coloring book. I do the adult coloring. Do you? And
I
I've
used
even,
to do that, but I'm a reader, so I
yeah,
occupy my
right.
mind with
And
books.
so, I have these coloring books and these pencils over here, and I haven't done it in a while, but I need to do that because there's always something else that
Yeah.
needs to be done. But
Yeah.
then I just have to stop because even when I'm watching TV, my mind is at ease because it takes my mind off of a whole lot of stuff. Even though the things that are happening before me, they do happen in real life
Yeah.
sometimes, but I'm realizing, okay, this is not real.
Hmm.
So I can
Hmm.
deal with it right now.
Yeah.
And so, but my coloring book and all of that, those things I have. And if I had learned to, what did Donna do? Did she knit or crochet
Donna,
or
she
both
crochet.
of them?
She
And she
crochet.
tried,
Knit. She
excuse
Donna
me.
knit it. She used the two sticks. Ain't that the two sticks? But Sister Patsy Reed wrote something. She said, she's praying with you. She said they had a rowdy neighbor that lived in a previous neighborhood. Her husband was led by God to pour blessed oil and separated their properties, uh, our property from theirs. They were outside when they did it. She said within
Hmm.
3 weeks they had packed packed up and left.
All right.
He said
And
we
see,
were never ugly to them, but they were into ungodly lifestyle. We did
mhm,
not ask God how to fix it, but we trusted that He would do so.
right. And I'm still believing. Thank you, Lady Patsy.
And then
Thank you so
Velma
much.
said, "Put up no trespassing signs."
And that I'll have to do, and I know what they're going to do because I had to deal with that out there in the country. I put my signs up asking not to park on my property, and they tore them up and threw them on the ground. And then this guy, when I asked him not to park out this at this property, and he put a big chunk of cement right in the middle of it,
Hmm.
just meddling. But I'm praying for him. I'm going to put the signs up, and then I'm going to, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to continue praying because these people live across the street from my property. They are across the street and they'll come over and park one of their cars in my driveway. And then the boy had nerve enough to tell me, you're not supposed to park there on the grass anyway. But he parked in my driveway. So anyway, thank you, ladies. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And I'd already said in my mind, I'm going to put some signs up. I'm going to put some signs up. And then I'm going to just have to deal with it because I don't want to get my son involved. I don't want to get my family involved because then it's trouble brings trouble, more trouble.
Because you know you
And
got some
then,
crazy
yeah,
nephews.
and
Not
then
crazy. I'm
like
not
we
saying
were
crazy
saying,
like that, but they're very
like
protective of
we were saying,
their nieces.
one second can bring about a
Bring it.
change that you will
Yep,
never be able to call back.
yep, yep.
And so, and
You know
then
how they treat us.
I have protection that has been given to me, but then the thing about that, if I take that, then what if I have to use it and I can
Yep.
never bring anything back? It's just all that stuff. So, Lady Patsy and Velma, I'm depending on God. I am. I'm still depending on Him. And these thoughts that come into my mind, these are, what does the Lord say? These are good thoughts. He thought good thoughts of us, but these are bad thoughts that came into my mind about that situation. But I'm holding on. I'm holding on in the name of the Lord. And thank you for praying with me, and thank you for the advice, because it really bothers me to you go to your own place, and I mean, expecting peace, and then here's the devil. So anyway, I am. So anyway, what she's saying is write or scrapbook, do something like that, and don't do everything at once or you'll likely become overwhelmed and feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
failing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to finish this up. And so this is her name, Carrie L. Burns, and this is little Buddha. Yes. So she's a blogger. She's on a mission of self-discovery. She said, as a sexual abuse survivor that struggled for years with depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, lack of self love, and relationship issues, she found her purpose through writing and sharing her story with others. And so you can find her at acinglife.com, acinglife.com. So it's 2 o'clock. Thank you, everybody, for
Y'all
being
know,
with us.
I'm telling you, yes, because
I
y'all know
enjoyed it.
reading is an outlet for me. I can get lost
Yes.
in a book
Yeah.
and I can sit and read for hours, and I
Oh,
look up
yeah.
dark outside.
I do too. I got those books out reading and everything. There's so much to do. Then I be thinking, I got all this to do and all that. But
Uh-huh. And
I
forget to eat sometimes and be so
yeah.
good. I'm like, oh,
But everybody, we love you so much. Thank you so much for
thank you
being
so much.
with us. And let me pull up this so I can get us uh, out of here. I love you,
I
Marita,
love you too, my
baby
sister.
sister. Okay, love you, everybody. Thank you for
Thank you,
being with
Mel,
us.
Patsy, Becky, Miss and
Thank you. We
Sister
love you
Patsy,
all. Hi, Becky. Who else?
Sister Patsy, Betsy,
Okay.
Sister Patsy, Velma, and
Sister
Becky.
Velma and Sister Peggy. Okay. And everybody else is out there. Thank you. We love you. And God willing, we'll see
Have a great
you
evening.
on Thursday. I enjoyed your baby sister.
I did too. I had a great time. See y'all soon.
Oh, God, I'm calling on you.
enlisting the saints to pray. Can you hear me? Can you feel